You did everything they told you to do. You saved for 30 years. You paid off the house. You never once touched the 401k early. And now you are sitting at the kitchen table looking at a tax bill that makes no sense, because the number on that form is almost twice what you actually pulled out this year. Nobody stole from you. Nobody made a mistake on paper. You just turned your income on in the wrong order, and the system rewarded you for it exactly the way it is built to. Here is the part that should bother you. This has almost nothing to do with how much you saved. It has everything to do with which switch you flipped first. Most people are taught that the responsible order is the safe order, the expected order, the one everybody else seems to be doing. That is not the same thing as the order that actually protects your money. Whitfield Money calls this the draw order, and getting it backwards is one of the quietest ways a careful person hands money to the government they never had to hand over. So stay with me for the next few minutes, because by the end of this you are going to know exactly which of your 3 paychecks to turn on first, which one to hold back, and why the order matters more than the amount. This is not a guess. This is math that already exists, and that almost nobody sits down long enough to actually run. If you are the kind of person who would rather keep the money than quietly send it off by accident, a like on this video is a small thing that does a lot of work. It tells the platform to put this in front of someone else who is about to make the same call you are about to learn to avoid. Let's set the table first. Most retirees are sitting on 3 separate paychecks waiting for them. Paycheck 1 is your tax-deferred account, your 401k or your traditional IRA. Paycheck 2 is Social Security. Paycheck 3, for some of you, is a pension. They all look like income on a bank statement. They do not behave the same way at all. Paycheck 1 is the one you fully control. Every dollar you pull is taxed as ordinary income, the same as a paycheck from work, because you never paid tax on that money going in. The upside is flexibility. Once you are past 59.5, you decide the size of the withdrawal and the timing, all the way until age 73, when required withdrawals finally force your hand. Paycheck 2 is the one you can speed up or slow down, but only within limits. You can turn Social Security on as early as 62, and you will lock in a reduced check for the rest of your life, something close to a 30% cut compared to waiting. Wait until 70 instead, and the check grows roughly 8% for every year you hold off, which adds up to well over 70% more than the early number. Here is the detail almost nobody clocks. Social Security is not taxed based on how large the check is. It is taxed based on everything else you are pulling in alongside it. Paycheck 3, the pension, is the one that just turns on whether you like it or not. Fewer people have one these days, but if you do, it is usually fixed, it starts automatically, and it counts as ordinary income the moment it lands. A pension quietly fills up your taxable floor before you have touched anything else. Here is what most careful people do with these 3 paychecks, and it feels completely responsible while they are doing it. They claim Social Security early because it feels guaranteed. They leave the tax-deferred account alone because somebody once told them never to touch it. The pension turns on whenever it turns on because there is no choice involved. That sounds cautious. It is actually the exact order that springs 3 separate tax traps, one after another, without you ever seeing them coming. The first one is the big one. Whitfield Money calls it the Social Security Torpedo because it hits from underneath, and most people never see the wake until the bill arrives. The IRS runs a number behind the scenes called your combined income, which is your regular income plus half of your Social Security benefit. Cross certain lines with that number, and a growing slice of a benefit you thought was already accounted for suddenly becomes taxable, on top of whatever you already owed. For a married couple, once that combined number passes roughly $32,000, up to half the benefit can become taxable. Cross another line near $44,000, and up to 85% of it can be taxed. For someone filing a loan, those same lines sit lower, closer to $25,000 and $34,000. And here is the detail that should make you sit up. Those thresholds were set back in 1983 and have never once been adjusted for inflation. Not once. Everything else in your life got more expensive. Those 2 numbers did not move. Picture a married couple sitting right at $43,000 of combined income, Just under that second line, they pull an extra $2,000 from the tax-deferred account for something ordinary, a repair, a trip, a gift for a grandchild. That $2,000 withdrawal pushes them over the line, and it drags roughly $1,700 of their own Social Security into taxable territory right alongside it. So a $2,000 withdrawal just created closer to $3,700 of taxable income. In a common bracket, that ordinary-looking withdrawal can cost an effective rate north of 40% on money that was already theirs. Pulling the wrong dollar from the wrong bucket does not get taxed once. It gets taxed twice, quietly, in the same year. The second trap hides longer, which is exactly why it catches good planners off guard. It is called IRMAA, the income-related adjustment on Medicare premiums. And the twist is that it looks backward. Your premium 2 years from now is based on what your tax return says today, not on what you are earning when the bill actually arrives. Cross the threshold, which currently sits close to $109,000 for a single filer, and roughly double that for a couple, and you do not just pay more tax. You pay a permanent surcharge on top of your Medicare premium for the entire year, sometimes well over $2,000 for a couple, triggered by income you may have already spent by the time the bill shows up. The third trap is quieter still, mostly reserved for higher income years. Pull too much out in a single year and pass certain thresholds. An extra investment tax can stack on top of everything else already discussed. Most retirees never trip this one, but it proves the same underlying point as the other two. One oversized withdrawal, taken in the wrong year, in the wrong order, can wake up taxes you did not know were sitting there waiting. If any of this is landing the way I think it is, that is exactly the moment to subscribe. This channel exists for the retirement decisions nobody explains to you clearly the first time around. So how does a $20,000 withdrawal turn into $37,000 of taxable income? It is not that the withdrawal itself gets taxed at some brutal rate. It is that the withdrawal drags a chunk of your own Social Security onto the return right alongside it. Money you already qualified for, taxed a second time because of the order you pulled it in. That is the entire trap, hiding inside one uncomfortable sentence. Now here is the order that actually protects you, and it is the opposite of what feels safe. Use your most flexible bucket first. Delay Social Security as long as you reasonably can. Treat your pension as the floor you plan everything else around, not as an afterthought. In practice, that means the years right after you retire, before Social Security ever turns on, become the window where you live off your tax-deferred account and any taxable savings you have, on purpose, while nothing else is triggering the traps yet. Why does that work? Because every dollar you pull from the tax-deferred account before you claim Social Security cannot trigger the torpedo. There is nothing to drag onto the return yet, because Social Security has not started, and with your income deliberately low in those years, that same window becomes the best time to convert some of that tax-deferred money into a Roth account, paying tax now at a lower rate, while none of the traps are armed, so that money grows tax-free and stays invisible to all three traps later. It does not count toward combined income. It does not trip the Medicare surcharge. It simply is not part of the equation anymore. Think of it as 2 seasons. The first season runs from the day you retire until you finally switch on Social Security, and it is the season of control, low income, wide open choices. The second season starts once Social Security turns on at its highest number, and you spend the rest of retirement blending a now smaller tax-deferred account, a Roth bucket you built on purpose, and a Social Security check you let grow to its full size. Because you shrank the tax-deferred side during the first season, your required withdrawals later stay small and manageable, instead of forcing a spike straight into the traps you spent years avoiding. James retired at 62. His pension does not start until 65, so for those first 3 years he lives off savings and uses the low-income window to convert pieces of his traditional account into a Roth, filling up a modest bracket on purpose instead of by accident. At 65, his pension turns on, and he eases off the conversions to stay clear of the Medicare threshold. At 70, he finally claims Social Security at its largest possible number, His traditional account is lean by then, his eventual required withdrawals are gentle instead of forced, and he tops off whatever he needs from the Roth money that has been quietly growing tax-free the whole time. Margaret handles the side of this James never has to think about, the actual calendar, which account gets touched in which year, so the plan holds even on the years, nothing feels urgent. James did not save more than the version of himself who did this the ordinary way. He simply claimed everything in a different order. If you want us to walk through a version of this, closer to your own numbers in a future video, tell us in the comments, because this only works when it is specific. There is one more piece worth knowing, because it changes the math for a few years without changing the underlying trap. Starting recently, there is a temporary additional deduction available to filers 65 and older, on top of the usual standard deduction, running through the back half of this decade before it is scheduled to phase out. It does not erase the Social Security torpedo or the Medicare threshold, and it will not save anyone who ignores the order entirely. What it does is widen the runway during exactly the low-income window this whole plan depends on, giving you a little more room to convert, a little more room to draw from the flexible bucket, before any of the three traps start paying attention. Treat it as extra breathing space in the years you are already supposed to be using on purpose, not as a reason to relax the plan. None of this is one size fits all, and it should not be treated that way. If your health is uncertain, if your savings are thin, if you genuinely need the income now, or your situation changed in a way the standard math does not account for, claiming earlier can be exactly the right call, and there is nothing careless about that choice. The point was never wait no matter what. The point is choose the order on purpose, instead of by default, because the default order is the one built to feel responsible while quietly costing the most. Here is the short version, the one worth keeping. Do you have a pension? If so, it already fills part of your floor, so plan the rest of the picture around it, and watch the Medicare threshold closely. Can you cover your spending without Social Security for a few years? If so, delaying it becomes one of the most powerful moves available to you. Are you sitting near one of these thresholds in any given year? If so, an extra withdrawal in the wrong year is exactly what wakes the traps up. And one last question worth asking every single year, not just once at retirement. Did anything change? A bonus, a sale, an inheritance, that could push this year's combined income somewhere you did not plan for? The draw order is not a decision you make once and forget. It is a setting you check every year the same way you would check any other number that decides how much of your own money you actually keep. The right order was never about squeezing the maximum out of any single account. It is about paying the least tax across the whole picture, so more of what you already earned stays yours instead of funding a bill you never had to create. That is the quiet position this channel keeps coming back to, the version of security nobody has to announce because it was never built to be noticed, just protected. If this changed how you think about your own 3 paychecks, do one thing this week. Find your actual combined income number, not a guess, the real one, because that single figure decides more of this than people realize. This is for education, not personalized tax or financial advice, so run your specific numbers or sit with a qualified planner before you move anything meaningful. Like this video if it helped, subscribe if you want the next one to find you, and I will see you in the next breakdown.